There is only one place to start, and that is at the incredible Red River Shootout. And yes, we still call it the Red River Shootout here on College Football Betting with Aaron Torres. Texas, a 6.5-point favorite over Oklahoma, both teams in the top 25. The over-under in the DraftKings Sportsbook is set at 60. And when I look at this game, a couple things stand out. First of all, it's great to have these two teams elite playing at a high level, right? Last year, it was such a disappointment. Oklahoma wasn't really right. In previous years, Texas hasn't really been good. These are, in my opinion, the two best teams in the Big 12, operating certainly not at the highest level, but I think collectively at about a higher level than they've been as a pair. Now, Oklahoma has been up, but Texas hasn't been what they've been in quite some time. And let's start with Texas, because I just want to go ahead and give them credit, right? Because listen, I'm in the college football media. Everybody makes fun of Texas. Everybody has the "is Texas back" joke. I give them a ton of credit. I said, even after they beat Alabama, I said, let's pump the brakes on Texas's back. Texas won't be back when they win a big game. To their credit, they have won other big games. They've beaten Oklahoma. They beat Georgia in that Sugar Bowl a few years ago. Texas will be back. And if Texas wants to prove that it is at an elite level, they'll do what Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State and Michigan and all these other programs do. It's not just about the big games. It's when you are a 21-point favorite, a 28-point favorite, a 17-point favorite, can you handle business? Can you go out, know you're the best team, and execute at the highest level? And that's what Texas has done over the last few weeks, and that is why I am so impressed with this team. They destroyed Kansas last week, and I say that as a Kansas backer. That game was not even competitive in Austin. The week before, against Baylor, took care of business. I know Wyoming was close for a while, but this Texas team, it would have been easy last week to overlook Kansas, and that game was never really competitive. And that's what really kind of stands out about this game and this matchup. Top 20 matchup, but Texas, in my opinion, is operating like an elite program right now for the first time in about 15 years, and they're playing at an elite level pretty much across the board. If you look at pretty much any stat, Texas is at the top. Top 20 offense, top 20 defense, elite offensive line, good rushing attack. By the way, top 20 in turnover margin, so they're taking care of the ball. All those things that for so many years used to doom Texas, they have gotten it taken care of, and I give them so much credit because, again, I think they're operating at about as high a level as I have seen from Texas, frankly, since probably the Colt McCoy era, as they come into this one 5-0. And frankly, none of them have really even been close, right? Alabama was into the fourth quarter, but even in that game, they pulled away. Oklahoma, to me, though, is much more interesting. First off, do want to give them credit. They obviously last year went 6-7. Now, if you remember back to last year, I thought some of the narratives on Oklahoma were probably a little bit unfair because if you go back to last year, they went 6-7, but the only two times they got blown out, Texas in this game and TCU, Dillon Gabriel was not available. Their other 5 losses were all by a touchdown or less, and I believe 4 of them, I could be mistaken on that, were by a field goal. So this was a team, listen, they were competitive with Florida State in their bowl game. They were competitive with other good teams across the sport. But Oklahoma, the goal is not to be competitive. The goal is to win conference titles and national titles. And I give them credit because they do look much better coming into this game. And what really stands out is 2 things. One, Dillon Gabriel is a freaking dog, right? And I think this is the game where if he is who I think he has the capability of being, this is his kind of Heisman platform, right? Like you think about Quinn Ewers at Alabama. You think about Jordan Travis against LSU. You think about whoever. I'm just trying to think of guys. Michael Penix next week. Bo Nix against Colorado. When you have this stage, if you're an elite player, you take advantage of it. So far, Dillon Gabriel has been an elite player, 75% completion percentage, 15 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions, over 1,500 yards passing. The other thing about Oklahoma, this is a Brent Venables defense from this perspective. They're very disruptive and they cause chaos and turnovers, okay? Last year, this defense was a mess. And I think that was part of who he inherited, part of scheme, part of whatever. I don't blame Brent Venables, to be clear. I'm just so it's clear. But they were the worst team, the worst defense statistically in the Big 12. Credit to Venables, brought in a couple 5 stars, brought in a bunch of dudes in the portal. And while statistically they're not elite, they're not there yet. It's going to take 2 or 3 more recruiting classes. They are much improved on defense. And I think the thing that stands out to me is the turnovers and turnover margin. This is a team that is top 15 nationally in turnover margin, okay? They are number 2 in the country in total turnovers forced and number 1 in the country in interceptions with 10 through 5 games. So we were hoping this defense would be improved. I don't even think we were hoping. I think it was like, if Brent Venables can't improve this defense, he might not be the guy. But they are much, much, much better, and that is what makes this game intriguing. In terms of this specific matchup, the one thing I will say, though, while Oklahoma has been good, this is going to be a major step up in competition. You look at who they've played this year: Arkansas State, SMU, Tulsa, Iowa State, and Cincinnati in league play. None of those teams are very good. Cincinnati's probably the best team. They're 2-3 on a 3-game losing streak. SMU is 3-2. And so that, to me, when I start to handicap this game, I'm a little concerned. Now, Texas, they haven't played elite competition outside of Alabama. And even Alabama is pretty one-dimensional when it comes to their offense. But at the same time, Texas has won on the road at Baylor in a hostile environment, dominated Kansas last week. And you look at Oklahoma, I'm not discrediting what they've done, but a couple things stand out. The competition has not been good. They have played 5 teams. One of them is half decent in SMU. There are 2 other concerns beyond that. As good as Dillon Gabriel has been, it is worth noting the numbers aren't quite as good in league play. And by the way, that's a lot of quarterbacks. It's not tear down Dillon Gabriel's season here on the show. But at the same time, 82% completion percentage in the 3 out of conference games, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. The 2 league games, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, 67% completion percentage. And it goes without saying, this is by far the best defensive front that he will see all year long, at least to this point. So how does he handle that pressure? How does he handle a Texas defense, which is in the top 20 in terms of total defense, in terms of tackles for loss? They're getting after the quarterback, all that good stuff. That's especially the case, by the way. Oklahoma's not running the ball very effectively. They're 66th in the country in rushing, about 150 yards per game. That's great. But again, how do you handle the best defensive front that you have seen so far to date? The other thing that concerns me a little bit about that Oklahoma defense, I kind of praise them for all of the things that they do in terms of turnovers and forced turnovers, but they're still not a great defense statistically. Now, they're good. I wouldn't use the word great with them, though. 31st nationally in total defense, but against the pass, they are only 53rd in the country. And so again, this is a team, they're giving up yards, but they're getting stops at the right time. You know what this almost reminds me of? And this is a much watered down version. Last year, USC was terrible. Ironically, I know Oklahoma fans are mad I brought up that, you know who, you know where. But USC last year, they made it the Pac-12 title game. And so much of it was the defense was terrible, but the defense was opportunistic. They were number 1 in turnover margin, number 1 in turnovers forced, and eventually just caught up with them at the end of the season. I bring it up to say Oklahoma isn't that. They're much better. They're much more talented, to be clear, Oklahoma fans. But at the same time, they are relying overly on turnovers, and Texas is a team that is not turning the ball over very much. And so when I look at this game, when I preview this game, when I pick this game, I do have an official best bet. I'm going to stay away from the over-under, but I'm going to take Texas to win outright and to cover. Now, to be clear, this has historically been a very close competitive game. But what stands out to me, I just think Texas is more battle-tested. You go on the road at a night game at Baylor. I know that Oklahoma played at Cincinnati. Feel like it's different. Big noon kickoff at Cincinnati in a noon Eastern time slot as opposed to nighttime in Waco. In-state rival. You're leaving the Big 12 for the SEC. They're a long-time rival dating back to the Southwest Conference days. So I think Texas is a little bit more battle-tested. Again, obviously it goes without saying, win at Alabama. And 2, I just need to see it to believe it with Oklahoma. I think Dillon Gabriel's a really, really good quarterback. This is his chance to really put his name in that Heisman conversation. But it's hard for me to believe against the best defensive front that he has seen all year, against the best defense that he has seen all year, that he is going to be able to put up the numbers that he has. And that's why I like Texas. I think it's close. I think it's competitive. Last year it got ugly. What was it? I won't even say the score. It was a lot to a little. This year, I do think it's close. I'll say Texas 31, Oklahoma 21. No, I'll go Texas 34, Oklahoma 24. Texas wins. Texas covers. That is my official pick for the Red River Shoot. Thank you, everybody, for your support of the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube channel. And we do have a major announcement as major news has come to the state of Kentucky. That is right. Legal sports betting now available in Kentucky. And here is the cool part. The Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel has now partnered with DraftKings Sportsbook and the DraftKings Sportsbook app. And as a thank you to listeners of this channel, DraftKings Sportsbook has an incredible offer for all first-time customers. First-time customers, here's what you need to know. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Bet $5 on any game. You get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you use the code Torres. That's Torres, Torres. All you got to do, it's very simple. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook online. Bet $5 on any game. Get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you use the code Torres. First-time customers, take advantage of this exclusive offer. It's an incredible deal. Thank you to DraftKings. Could not be more fired up to be working with the DraftKings Sportsbook.